नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि भक्तवृंद. Any Prabhuji wanted to follow after me, you can do. First, Prabhuji is anybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey!
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda 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 Govinda.
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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
One last time, with all your heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, अनंत वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय. Okay, so yesterday we kind of did not complete this particular sloka, which was the module that we should have completed. So we'll start from here. यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्म बन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्त संगः समाचर. So work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. In that way, you will always remain free from bondage. Can somebody read this sloka? Practice the sloka once. Anybody would like to? Please raise your hands. Himabindu Mataji, others. Just practice once. Anybody can raise their hands. Pushpa Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Can you try Mataji? Yajnartha Karmanyatra.
Shall I try, Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Yajnartha Karmano Yatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhana Tad Artham Karma Kaunteye Mukta Sangha Samachara.
Samachara. Very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. So here, what it is mentioned here, we just have to see once. Let me just see. So, Yajnarthat Karmano Nyatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhanaha. So, what does that mean? Here, without performing actions as a sacrifice for Vishnu, people are bound by their actions. So, that is, Krishna is trying to give you a big picture and gives you a link for the next section. Next section is going to talk about the yoga ladder, and the topmost in that process, he says that Bhakti Yoga is the highest, and the way you need to approach is through yajna and sacrifice. And what is that sacrifice? How is that it is going to help you in going from one step to next step is what he is going to discuss. And that's the reason why he is giving you a higher principle. Here he says that without performing actions as a sacrifice for Vishnu, people are bound by their actions. What are the consequences if you are bound by their actions? Can somebody tell me? If you are
See?
bound by your actions. Yes.
Sufferings.
Thank you, Mataji. One is suffering. You will be suffering. And what is the other thing? What is this consequence of suffering?
Repeated birth and death.
जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि
So you will come into the cycle. See, suffering means what? Janma mrityu jara vyadhi is the suffering. You have to come to this material world. You have to take birth. You have to live here with three kind of difficulties: Adi Devika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika, Kleshas. Again, you have to die. So all these sufferings is going to be there. So how to come out of it? Krishna is saying that you need to do it as a sacrifice. But it's not so easy. So he gives you step-by-step process how to achieve that ultimate goal. So the next tad artham karma kaunteya. So do your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. So he's saying that you have to do your prescribed duties and do this prescribed duties not for your satisfaction, but for whose satisfaction? Krishna's satisfaction. So that is our ultimate goal. And in the last part of it, he says that Mukta Sangha Samachara. Mukta Sangha Samachara means thus you will always remain free from bondage. This one sloka, if you understand, you have a higher principle end in mind. So what is your end in mind? The end in mind is that if you do your actions, your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, Krishna's satisfaction, what is the result you will get? You will remain free from the bondage and you will be free from sufferings. That is something. So now we need to understand little bit what is this Mukta Sangha. Mukta Sangha means is the verse which could also mean being detached from the results of action. Mukta Sangha. Mukta, you know, Mukta means getting freedom. So Mukta Sangha is the verse which could also mean being detached from the results of action, offering prescribed duties to Lord Vishnu or Krishna without personal desire is called yajna or sacrifice. In one way, yajna or sacrifice is also what he's trying to tell here. So, and we also know that in our Shastras it is mentioned, Yagno by Vishnu. The same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yajnas or directly serves Vishnu or Krishna. So, if you do yajna also or directly serve Krishna is one and the same. So, that is what we will see. So, basically here the bottom line is that your end in goal, this is the higher principle. We have not yet know how to achieve that. That's what Krishna is going to elaborate in the next section, the rungs of the yoga ladder. So work for Vishnu is our higher goal. For his satisfaction we have to do. So that is what is the end goal. Now how do we achieve that? We'll see. So one question may come, why perform prescribed duties and why is it this better than not working? Can somebody tell me based on your past couple of classes experience, what do you think prescribed duties? What will happen? Who are the people he is saying that you should do prescribed duties? For whom? Anybody?
For Grihasthas, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, for Grihasthas. And Swadharma we have to do for our own pleasures. So that prescribed duties which are there for
Mataji, not for others.
No, Prabhu, Swadharma for us and Sanatan Dharma also should go hand in hand also, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Both the duties has to go hand in.
Very nice. Okay.
Because of Karma Yoga, we have to do prescribed duties. Karma Yoga itself is that we have to do our own duties.
Okay. Now my question, I change my question a little bit. Why perform prescribed duties? That is what I asked. And why is it better that not doing work? Why is this prescribed duties better than not doing work? One thing. Now, what is duties are for based on your varna and ashrama? You have your certain prescribed. For a grihasthas, there are certain prescribed duties. For a brahmana, from varna perspective, for brahmana, kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, there are prescribed duties. Similarly, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, Brahmachari, you are prescribed duties. So you will do that. So why is Krishna saying that you have to do your prescribed duties? What will be the end result? See, I am always asking what will be the end result, because you need to ask that. What will we get when we perform these prescribed duties? What is the intermediate benefit? What is the final benefit? Yeah, two things.
Presence
Krishna
sensor.
in center. Keep Krishna in center and do our prescribed duties. Dovetail our activities to Krishna service, so that if we are not doing for the pleasure of ourselves and submitting ourselves all our duties to Krishna, then the road gets for the way to Goloka, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. So
Renaissance, sir.
let me reframe this so that you can get the answer correctly, because this is more to do with discussion only. So I would prefer to do the discussion. Now, what is the intermediate benefit you will get if you do your prescribed duties? One, what is the end benefit? Mataji has given you one kind of end benefit. What is the intermediate benefit, so that this will lead you to that? What is that?
Whatever we do, we should do with devotion towards Lord Krishna.
Okay. When I'm asking what is the intermediate benefit?
We'll get peaceful. We'll be
We
peaceful
get
and we'll
peace
be
and we
happy.
get,
We'll be
Okay.
happy.
Okay. Yes, that's correct.
Prabhuji, the most important
Because that
thing
is
is
said
that we are
the
doing
real
our
nonsense.
we are making our soul purified.
purification is the most important thing.
Fantastic point. This is what I was looking for. Now, what happens is that when you perform your prescribed duties as a grihastha, as a brahmana, whatever, varna and ashrama, you gradually purify your heart. So what will happen if you ask me, what was I before I joined these classes and what has happened now? Your heart is getting purified. And when you do your prescribed duties, Krishna is saying that your heart will get purified. You understand the point? So you need to know, see, sometimes when we say that Goloka, you will be reaching Goloka, you will get Krishna Prema and all that, that is a far stretch for you. Sometimes you may say that, hey, this is not possible for me. I am not able to experience anything. But in fact, if you observe closely, you will be realizing that your heart is getting purified slowly. And what does it mean that heart is getting purified? Can somebody qualify this?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Your past karmas are being lessened.
Okay, your past karmas are getting lessened. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Raghunath Puri Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So purification process, as we are doing our prescribed duties, we basically follow is that we get understanding. And first is that most important thing is that knowledge comes to us, and that knowledge helps us to understand what exactly we have to do. Because without knowledge, probably, I mean, when we talk about that, when we go for salvation, that is not.
You will get the knowledge. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
What else? Give me one bullet point. Purify your heart means what is the tangible things that you can see, perceive?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Remembrance occurs, Prabhuji. Always will remember Krishna when our heart gets purified.
Okay, great. One last, anybody?
Fruitful from Krishna. It is the fruitfulness from Krishna we get it. For
Okay,
every doing, Krishna gives something better.
fantastic. Now, in the purport, if you read Srila Prabhupada purport, but he's telling that when you purification of your heart happens, or what does that mean? Purifying your heart means, first thing is that your sense control increases. That means you are able to control your senses. Earlier, you are not able to control your senses. Now, your senses are becoming, or you are able to control those senses. They are in your hands. Earlier, I used to get angry whenever somebody used to provoke me. Now I am not. Whenever I see something to eat outside, I used to get tempted and I forcefully was doing that activity without my will. So now the sense control has increased. One. The second thing is that the tendency to lord over the material nature has decreased. That means you always have this tendency of lord over the material nature. What does that mean? Lord over the material nature means. Can somebody
Dominate? Dominate.
Okay, dominating nature, very nice. The bossism which is there inside,
Yeah.
is, I wanted to do this. You should be in my control. You should listen to me. I. This I, whatever is there, will now decrease. And the tendency to lord over the material nature will decrease. The last one, he says that climb the yoga ladder. So now you will slowly able to climb your yoga ladder, which is what we are going to see now. Okay. Is that clear? Can others mute, please? There is a lot of disturbance coming. Okay. And I will also close my windows because there is a lot of disturbance. They are doing some granite work or something. Okay. So any doubts so far, please? Anybody? We are good? So yes, as Krishna was saying that we need to do our prescribed duties and not working. So if you are not working, what is that you are going to lose? One more time. Did you get the gist? What is going to happen if you are not going to work? The gist of what we just said can come here. Can somebody think about it now? What will stop that was happening earlier?
Purification process, Prabhuji, will not be there.
Purification of the heart will happen when you do your prescribed duties. When you do not work, where is the question of purifying your heart? So that is the reason Krishna is saying that do your prescribed duties. And again, the higher principle is that do your prescribed duties not for your satisfaction but for Krishna's satisfaction. That is what he is calling as yajna. And now he is going to define that how this purification of the heart will happen, how you can able to climb this yoga ladder. That's where he is going to connect to the next verse, next set of verses. Okay, so the module conclusion, whatever we discussed so far, the T stands for Tyaga. The question that Arjuna had, whether when Gnana is higher than Karma, then why should I really put myself into working? I'll just give up work. Then Krishna said that no, it's a two-way process. It's a process where there are two steps in that. One is karma and gnana will go step by step. It's not like giving up one and taking the other one. So Krishna thus suggests that working for the Lord without desire for results, karma yoga, is better for Arjuna than premature renunciation of work, which is gnana yoga. Now Krishna tells Arjuna, but if you are not free from the desire for the work of actions, then you should still perform action with desire, which is karma kanda. So that's what we will discuss more, rather than giving up the actions completely. So finally, end of the day, what Krishna is saying that whatever may be, you better do work. Don't go into a silo mode of not doing work. By satisfying one's desire in religious way, those who are attached will be purified. So basically, the whole process of what Krishna is going to give you is that purification is going to happen. Now, one question may come. See, in our Vedas also, there are different types of, Puranas also. There are so many Puranas. Some Puranas are in the tamasic mode, some in the mode of passion, and some are in the sattvic mode. Okay. So why did they categorize these things like this? Anybody can think about the answer? Because if you see, there are a lot of people who are Shiva Bhaktas. So they are basically in mode of, so who are the people who are doing worshipping Shiva? Those people who are in the mode of ignorance. So why are they doing it? And they are also doing it based on the scriptures only. And from the Puranas and Vedas, they are different segments. Why did they create so this kind of categories? All should have been put in the mode of goodness only, right? Why this many categories in Vedas also? Anybody, any answers?
According to karma. According to one's own karma.
Why part? You address why part. Why did go ahead, Malti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. According to their desires, different kind of people. So according to their modes of desires in Vedas, different modes of this scriptures has.
Desires is one. Second thing is that why did Krishna do that? The one reason is that because you again the same thing. You need to purify those kind of people who are at that level also, because they step by step they also have to come. So for the people who are in the mode of ignorance, to elevate their consciousness, to purify them, that option is also given. So finally, for each and every person, this opportunity is there. Okay. And in when way, why did Krishna create this material universe? If you ask somebody, see, the classes what you are going to attend here, you may not be getting so many things, but the basic fundamental things I am trying to see that you will get clarified. Why did Krishna create this material universe? One is, Malti Mataji might say that you have the desire, so to fulfill that you have come here. Okay, what is the primary reason why Krishna has created this material universe for us?
By satisfying our desires, so we can get the Krishna Bhakti and go back to our back home.
Okay, back to Godhead. Okay, so the second part is correct. So basically, Krishna has created this material world such that this is a karma bhumi. You can come here, get purified, go back to Goloka. That is the reason why he created here. He created this material universe. You need to have this environment. If you ask me, why does Krishna come into this material universe? One of the reasons is that to inspire you, that you take up to this process and so that you can come back to Goloka. Purification is the ultimate goal. So each one of you are getting purified by association, by reading books, by doing sadhana, by taking Krishna Prasad, all these things. End of the day, what are you going to get? You will get purified. And then you will get qualification one step ahead, such that you can come back and go back, as Yashoda Mataji rightly mentioned, go back to the Goloka and go back to Godhead. So,
Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I have a question. So why did Krishna put Maya into this material world? If Maya wouldn't have been there, it would have been easy for us to,
So, fantastic question, Prabhu. So, see, if it was if suppose you are asking that, what are you studying, Prabhu? What did you study, or what are you studying? Are you a student?
Yeah, I just finished my education.
Okay, you finished your education, meaning you completed what?
MBA. I've done my MBA.
MBA, right? You did your graduation. After post graduation, you took the exam, or you just passed like that only?
Exam.
You took the exam, right? Similarly, Maya Devi is also giving you an exam. She is putting you a lot of hurdles. Unless until you cross that, you are not getting qualified to go there. See, this is somewhere you have to have an exam, or you need to see, you are now at level 1. Now you are going to go to level 4. Now that means to cross from level 1 to level 4, if there are no hurdles, then how can you say that you have gone there? And in that process, Maya Devi is giving you the hurdles such that you can purify yourself. So whatever are there, suppose Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika, Adhyatmika Kleshas are there. You know what are those problems? Adi Daivika are the natural calamities. Adi Bhautika are basically the problems that you get with other animals, other insects, like corona that we are facing now, and similarly mosquitoes, this and that. So these are the problems. And Adi Atmika is basically with your own mind and body you get the problems. So all these are because of the Maya Devi is going to put you in here. Why? You have to overcome that. You have to conquer it, and then you will be passing this exam. And she is like a jailer to this jail that is there. That is the reason why she is called Durga, means fort, and Durga Devi means she is in charge of this fort, and she is going to do all these things such that you will cross over it and you will have the stamina, purification, and then you will go get qualified to go to Goloka. So she is doing her job. So if that is not there, then there is no benchmark for you. And so that is the reason, Prabhu. Is that clear, Prabhu? So, Prabhu, very nice question. Any other question anybody has? Okay. So the next part we are going to discuss from the 10 to 16 verses. Okay. This is from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga, how we can go. That's the yoga ladder Krishna is saying. Why Lord Krishna designed this material world? We have just seen that. Because as Soham Prabhu nicely asked, he has designed this material world such that we can take the exam. So they also say that, so what is this? Life, there was a statement that I made earlier. Okay, I'm not able to recollect now. Life is an exam. Death is, okay. Life is the preparation and death is the examination. Whether you are passing or failing is where the litmus test happens at the death time. Okay, but you need to do the preparation in your lifetime such that you take the exam, and you, whether you are coming back to this material world again or just going back to the next level is what okay, it is the examination for us. So prepare your life such that as per the instructions given by Bhagavad Gita, by Krishna, as far as this yoga ladder is concerned, such that we can overcome these whatever hurdles that we are having. Okay. So yeah, in this particular section, what we are going to see is that there are three important things. One is that you will see that for purifying yourself, the yoga ladder is what he is going to talk about. The next is that happiness by yajna. So see, when you do yajna or sacrifice, you are doing it for a higher purpose, and in that process, the demigods also get satisfied, and all this, the cooperation between men and demigods is what he's going to talk. And he's going to talk about a thief, one who enjoys the gifts given by nature for his own selfish this thing. Then he is called a thief. He is called as stenaha. Stenaha means thief. We'll see that. So Karma Yoga, we are doing discussing the second part of it, the rungs on the yoga ladder, verses 10 to 16. So basically here, to work with any selfish motivation, whatever is undoubtedly an advanced stage, you know that. So working with no selfish desire and for the satisfaction of Krishna, that also is a very stretch goal for us. Very, it's not so undoubtedly very difficult. So that's an advanced stage. So to reach that spiritual realization, so then Krishna is very mercifully giving you the steps. Krishna describes the yoga ladder and gives you a very easy steps, how you can take, like baby steps. So first level, he talks about on the lower level, an individual is solely interested in material enjoyment and has no spiritual inclination. He is leading a animalistic life. So that is what he is going to talk about. And later on, he says that the next stage higher than that is Karma Kanda stage, where one still desires materialistic enjoyment, but now tries to achieve it via religious observances. Like whatever we gave examples earlier, whether you wanted to have a relationship with opposite sex, get married. And suppose you, at one point of time in Karma Kanda, they also said that if you wanted to enjoy meat eating, because you have that desire as per the Karma Kanda, that also they have given you a procedure. You can do it. But again, with the end in mind, you should also see that what are the consequences for doing that kind of activity. That also you should know and then do it. That is what is also there as part of the Karma Kanda. And later on, Krishna talks about Nishkama Karma Yoga and Sakama Karma and Nishkama Karma Yoga. These are the things that he is talking about. So finally, all this is because those who progress to this level of spiritual break free from all karmic implications and become peaceful and liberated. That is what you are going to achieve in the end. Okay. So if anybody has any question, you can raise your hands. Krishna Rao Prabhu, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you keep your microphone a little closer?
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Varna I could understand, but ashrama, what I'm not confused. Ashrama. Ashrama means.
Okay, so basically, Varna and Ashrama. Varna means you have 4 Varnas. Can somebody?
Varna means according to Guna.
Varna means?
According to Guna, you're classified as Varna.
Okay, Guna Karma Vibhagasa. Okay, Varna is basically you have Brahmana, Kshatriya, who else? Vaishya and Shudra. These are Varnas. Varna is based on your Guna, as you rightly mentioned. Ashrama is basically where you are. These 4 people can be in any of these 4 ashramas. The first ashrama is that you will be in the Brahmacharya ashrama or Grihastha ashrama, Vanaprastha or Sannyasa. These are the 4. A Kshatriya can be in any of these 4. A Brahmana, based on his guna, he can be any of these 4. So now based on your Varna and Ashrama, that permutation and combination, based on that your prescribed duties will vary. If you are a Kshatriya and you are in the Sannyasa ashrama, okay, or Vanaprastha, so your prescribed duties will be different. So accordingly, you need to take it up. That is as per the Manusmriti. Is that clear, Krishna Rao Prabhu?
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody has any other question?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Mother.
Prabhuji, you said about the I didn't get a clear to about the Sakarma and Karma Kanda. But basically, Karma Kanda is Anokishin Kada. The person
we will discuss that.
That is Karma Kanda.
Touched about it. Now
we are comparing with this duties.
I am going to clarify that. Mataji, I am going to clarify that in detail. Just park that question. The next slide is that only. Okay. What is?
Pardon. I didn't get you. Can you?
Mataji, I am going to discuss that.
Can you repeat it?
Is there disturbance from somebody? There is some. Okay, maybe the Krishna Rao Prabhu. Okay. Now you can speak, Mataji.
1 second. I'll mute myself.
Mataji, what I am saying is that your question will be.
No, Sakarma.
Mataji, I am going to address your question.
Can I chat? Sir, okay.
You just park your question. Okay. Okay, now, secret of the work revealed, we just saw this earlier also. Duty is what you need to do. That is what we talk about in Karma Yoga. How you need to do it is the knowledge, Jnana Yoga. Why you are doing it is Bhakti Yoga. So just keep that high level ideas. You can work at these 3 levels, and that's what you need to know. Now Vedas have got they can provide solutions to your life, and Vedas provide solutions for everyone. The karma attached engagement is recommended for those who are highly indisciplined. See, because what happens is that you wanted to have a regulated life, and if you wanted to discipline yourself, you need to do prescribed duties, or karma is required for us. Suppose there is a person who is very lazy, and for him or her, you have to tell that have a regulated life, do karma. So do your work. Some kind of work you need to give, and they have to do it. So that is the reason why you need to do it. Person living with no higher purpose other than eating, sleeping, mating, and defending is indisciplined life. So go beyond that and take up to this karma process. And that in karma there are different levels. Karma kanda, sakama karma, nishkama karma, so many things. So that we will see. But karma is basically in one way attached engagement. Okay, karma means attached. I have some desire, I am doing it, and that's also fine. But at least by doing that, what is the end result? You will be having disciplined life. At least that life you will be, it is required at that stage. Okay, instead of just living an animalistic life, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, it's better that you have a disciplined life. So for that, attached engagement is okay. What is detached disengagement is recommended for those who are very, very advanced and who are totally dispassionate towards things in life. The goal is to get them realize that there is nothing much to pursue in this material world, go beyond matter. So that is a very advanced stage, and if you are, the danger with this particular process, detached disengagement, is that if you are not purifying your heart properly or your senses properly, then those will be dwelled in your mind and you will fall back prey to that. So that danger is there. Vishwamitra, Shobhari Muni, we have discussed that examples yesterday. So yeah, so Vedas provide a solution to the problem of life. So the attached engagement is kama, detached disengagement is jnana. So the hybrid of that is what we are talking about. Detached, the engagement from here and detachment from here we brought and made a hybrid model called as detached engagement. So it might be confusing, what is this detached engagement? So you are working without any attachment. So are your detached engagement you are having. So that is what is a smart way of working. That is what Krishna is going to elaborate. So bear with me, we'll get there. So real attachment comes with higher attachment. So that is what we need to strive for. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, go ahead. Mataji, go ahead.
Prabhuji, most of the humans who were highly qualified, educated, so some of the women did not work. They were like housewives. So are they are they doing their karma or not?
Oh, Mataji. So once you see this yoga ladder, one of the things what you can identify yourself is that in which stage you are there. Okay, so let us discuss this yoga ladder. I can now identify in which stage I am there based on the discussion which we are going to do. And then you can pose the same question and let's address it. Okay, Mataji?
Yes,
okay, thank you, Mataji. So let us see this. In the yoga ladder, the first level, what we see is that unregulated gratification. You have some desire, but you just wanted to hook or crook. You wanted to live a king life, king size life, and you wanted to fulfill your desires. That is unregulated gratification. So why people are doing all this nonsense by raping and doing all these things, or going and looting people, and just because they wanted to gain money. All this is basically because they are leading an unregulated life where they wanted to gratify their senses by hook or crook, by whatever way. I don't care whether I am following the right way, wrong way. This is called a vikarma. This is also karma only. But since they are not following the rules and regulations to satisfy their desire by any of the Vedic injunctions, this is called a vikarma. And the consequences that they are going to face by doing vikarma is that they will go to the lower planets and lead a hellish life. And they may not, they will, what Shastra says is that they will not get human form of life also. If they get the human form of life also, they will be in the Patala Loka, where people will be beating and killing each other like anything. So that kind of atrocities they will be able to see, and they will be able to suffer because they are doing unregulated gratification and vikarma they are doing. Okay. And these vikarma, what they are doing is basically mostly against the shastric injunctions that they are doing. And these people are materialistic people. Materialistic people meaning their I concept, nenu, that concept is very strong, and for that they can do anything. So we see that there are a lot of people who had intelligence, and that intelligence they have used it for in a vikarma way, in not as per the shastric injunctions. Can somebody give me some examples? What is vikarma, and can you relate to the world that you are in? Anything you can think about? No vikarma people you see in this material world at all?
Terrorism.
Terrorism is one. Yes, they are not following any shastric injunction. They are not waging a war like any soldiers. They are doing it against the shastric injunctions. So with some nonsense in their minds. What else? Any other thing? Vikarma?
Prabhuji, people involved in money making. Nefarious making.
You see that these people like Harshad Mehta people and Charles Shobraj. Charles Shobraj, people might have forgotten him. He is the person who had looted banks and escaped from jails. You put him in whatever kind of jail, he will come out of. I don't know whether somebody remembers Charles Shobraj.
Yes, Prabhuji,
Yes,
100%.
yes,
He was
Prabhuji.
captured in Nepal. He was captured from Nepal, Prabhu.
So he's an international thief, and he challenged the government so many times. This was in I think in 80s.
80s.
He was very famous, Charles Shobraj. So see, they have used their intelligence in a wrong way to do things. Harshad Mehta also the same way. So he had so much intelligence and he used it in a wrong way. So like that. Okay, so that is, and can somebody tell me what mode they are in? These vikarma people mostly?
Ignorance mode.
Ignorance.
Yes, ignorance mode. The mode of ignorance is dominating in them. So this is vikarma people. So next comes is karma kanda. So now this is, first one is unregulated gratification. Next is karma kanda. So karma kanda, these are the people who are interested in material enjoyment, no doubt. Achieve it via religious observances. That means they are trying to follow the prescribed duties based on varna and ashrama, and then getting satisfied with whatever material enjoyment that they wanted to do, they are doing it. So they are regulated and disciplined life they are leading. But again, there is any God coming into picture? Absolutely no. They do not have the concept of God at all. They don't even know that there is a God. But again, since they have the material enjoyment and they wanted to have, they are following some religious observances and doing it. That is karma kanda. So when you are doing prescribed duties, doesn't mean that you are following and doing it for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. No. So you are just doing it as per the religious observations. Okay. So this is karma kanda stage, right? This is coming little. They are also in the mode of ignorance only, but little better than the vikarma people. So that is what. Again, the mode is also more or less in ignorance mode only. So a little bit of passion is also there, but mostly ignorance. Okay. So the next one, sorry. So the next one is sakama karma. So in sakama karma, what they are doing is that this happens when one realizes the futility of producing no result or effect of material enjoyment. See, in the sakama karma, you are now slowly going to the next level and asking yourself, Arey, I have been getting all these enjoyment I am doing. But basically I have observed that it is not producing me the result that I wanted. It's not giving me that kick or that satisfaction, complete satisfaction that I am looking for. So that material enjoyment, whatever you are getting, you are realizing that it's not giving you the complete or the ultimate happiness that you are looking for. So slowly you start thinking in terms of the fruitility in whatever you are doing in terms of pursuing your material achievements, whatever you are pursuing or enjoyment that you are doing. You are getting the material enjoyment, but you have realized that it is not really giving me, there is something higher, is what his thought, the thinking process has started. So now one begins to offer a portion of that results to the God. Now very portion, maybe 1%, 0.5%, he started giving. This is called Sakama Karma Yoga. Now this is where the yoga comes into picture. Till here, previously it is not, the Karma Kanda is not yoga, because God has not come into picture at all. You are not connecting to the Supreme Lord. Now in Sakama Karma, since you have given only 0.5% of your results to the Supreme Lord, or your endeavor is towards to satisfy the Supreme Lord or do something for in connection with the Supreme Lord, the Sakama Karma Yoga is started. Okay. So, and now slowly what he is thinking is that he's
Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So now Sakam Karma Yoga, as Prabhuji you said, so now he is getting transferred from the level of ignorance to level of passion, or I mean, where he's now going?
Yes. Now his mode has changed. His mode is predominantly in the mode of passion. His mode, because his desires has not come down. His desires are more or less there. And now a portion of it, he is dovetailing it with Krishna. A portion, small portion of it. Because he realized that whatever material enjoyment he is going to get or is getting, it's of what use? And now we will start thinking in terms of simple living and high thinking. Again, it has not come into practice, but at least he is thinking that I should start living a simple life. I should have higher thinking. What is that higher thinking? Where the Bhagavad Gita, whatever Krishna is speaking, can I implement? Can I associate with devotees? Can I dovetail my activities with Krishna? So this kind of thought process has come. So, and predominantly is in the mode of passion. So I would say that most of us, or at least myself, I will say that I am in this mode of passion and in Sakama Karma Yoga. So I can relate myself without any hesitation. I do not say that I am more into the next levels, but I will say that I am at this level. Any doubts so far, Prabhuji's Mataji's?
Prabhuji, one doubt. When he is doing some work in the Sakama Karma, is it with some desire that I will get some benefit out of it?
See, the word Sakama. Kama means desire. With, Sa means with. With the desire he is doing. And his desire he is doing mostly for his material enjoyment only. But at the same time, when we said Sakama Karma Yoga, that means here in the previous Karma Kanda stage also he is doing for material enjoyment only. Here also he is doing for material enjoyment. But he is doing portion of it, maybe 0.5% at least, he is now dovetailing with Krishna. Or I will not say Krishna, he will say that there is something higher. And he wanted to give that portion of it to that. You see the point? Some of you might have noticed, there are people who are not knowing that Supreme Lord is Krishna. They will think that there is some demigod or there is some god and higher power, let me give it to them. So once that desire, just not for me, I need to give it for some higher this thing. So that is where he is starting to take his journey towards going closer to Krishna. That's the starting point. So most of us, with no hesitation about me, I will say that I am more or less in the Sakama Karma Yoga stage. I cannot say myself that I am a Nishkama Karma Yoga. But that's nothing wrong. You are there and you are slowly moving, and Krishna is giving you enough opportunities, and he is going to take you to the next level in your next life because you are doubting yourself. Okay, is that anything more anybody wanted to ask? Okay, so the next stage is called Nishkama Karma Yoga. So here he accepts whatever necessities he requires to maintain himself and offers everything else to God. Okay, so this is a very advanced stage, Nishkama Karma Yoga. So where he accepts whatever necessities he requires to maintain himself. So much he will take, and the rest everything he will give it to God. And what he will give, not money only, tan man dan. So he whatever thoughts he has, so he will the thoughts, whatever thinking he is going to do, whatever is required to maintain his body and whatever necessities, that much he will think about himself, and the rest he will be thinking only about Supreme Lord. So whatever, for that matter, whatever activities he is doing, he will do those activities so much so that he will be able to maintain his body. Rest of the time he is only doing it for Krishna. So that is Nishkama Karma Yoga stage. Okay. So now this is the stage where he is in the mode of goodness. Okay. Now when he is operating in this mode of goodness, and what is the result by doing this Nishkama Karma Yoga means, they become free from all karmic implications and become peaceful and liberated. Okay. Now, if you ask me, are we liberated? Are we very peaceful? Because you have not yet come to that stage, and it is not supposed to be done in an artificial way. When you do it in an artificial way, you will be facing the repercussions. So you need to do it in a systematic way. Slowly and gradually you need to do. Don't just jump. See, if suppose you wanted to run a marathon for 40 kilometers, you cannot start on the match day 40 kilometers marathon. You cannot take, right? You have to do practice, and for that you need to have a coach. For that you need to do everyday practice. So that kind of a thing, when you do, then you will be successful in the 40 kilometers marathon. So our life is also a marathon, and not just this life. Our life is our goal is to go to Goloka. That is the stretch that we have. So if your goal is that, then you have to prepare yourself. You might only partially able to realize in this life. But you may not be able to completely get there, but that's also fine. In the next life, Krishna has assured you that if you have only done only 5% in this life, next life you will start from 6%. So nothing lost. That he has covered in the second chapter, if you remember. He has given. Okay. So is this clear? We'll go to the next level. Any doubts anybody has? You can unmute and ask. No? Okay. So what is the result when you are doing Nishkama Karma Yoga? Can somebody tell me? What is the result when you do Nishkama Karma Yoga?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji.
Prabhuji, when we are doing Nishkama Karma Yoga, we will not be, when our activities are doubting to Krishna, we will not be affected by the result. So even if the results are good, or if it is bad also, it won't affect us. So we will remain Sthita Pragna.
Yes, very nice. So basically, they become free from all karmic implications. That means your past karma, whatever has come, that also gets burnt. And so you will not, whatever activities you are doing now also. So Nishkama Karma Yoga is basically is also called akarma. So there is no karmic implications for you. And while doing this, your past karma, whatever is the karmic bank balance, that also gets burnt out, and you will be peaceful and liberated. Okay, so that is what you will be able to experience as part of the Nishkama Karma Yoga. So now next level, yeah, anybody has any question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So from the level of Niskama Karma Yoga, our material desires starts dying down.
Starts what?
Material desire will die down from this point.
No, basically your activity, you are going to do whatever activity, and Krishna in the next segment he will say that become an exemplary also. So you will now see the whole point. If you see here, the way Krishna is taking you, and what is getting purified is your heart is getting purified. Heart is getting purified, meaning your consciousness is no more operating at that level. Initially at a level 1, it was animalistic. Slowly you move to the next one. That means your consciousness is now becoming much better, going to the next level. So your consciousness is growing, and finally you are going to a stage where you are saying that you are doing the activities, but again you are not doing it for your own selfish interest, for your sense gratification. You are living like a lotus flower. You are there, but still you are not getting attached. So that's the stage we have to go. See, if you wanted to become peaceful, liberated, so you see that why most of the time your grandfather is very peaceful. I'm just saying, when you come to a certain age, because they have come out from the mode of passion to the mode of goodness, and they have realized certain things, and their consciousness has developed, and they are very peaceful, and they can get liberated. So similarly, you are not giving up your activities, but at the same time, when you do the activity, your consciousness is different, right? So that is what Krishna never recommended, giving up your activity at any point of time. So there is no retirement per se for anybody. See, if you ask Srila Prabhupada at the age of 70, can you think about going to so many countries and establishing ISKCON in all these places? How much turmoil, how much strain he might have gone through. So activity is always there. It has to be done. But your consciousness is so much that you are no more having this bodily conception. And you are operating at a different level, and your consciousness is dovetailed, and you are doing your activities to satisfaction of Krishna and the devotees, and as given by the instructions of your Guru Maharaj, you are taking up, not for yourself. So your eye, as we go up to the yoga ladder, your eye, which was very dominant at the stage 1, as you come to the 6th level, your eye is diminished almost. So that is where we have to move. And when you come to Karma Kanda level and next to Sakama Karma, your eye, when you compare Karma Kanda and Sakama Karma, your eye has, which was dominating, has now giving rise to, I will also get satisfied, but let me also ensure that the other person is also getting satisfied. So that V concept will come. From I to V, he will move. And slowly now he will do it for satisfaction of Krishna or the Supreme Lord, because once you satisfy Krishna, everybody gets satisfied. That is the example given by Srila Prabhupada is the example of watering the root of the plant. Then everything gets nourished. So similarly there. Okay. I don't know whether I answered your question, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So now from here onward, Niskam Karma, we are in the level of goodness.
Yes, that's correct. So mode wise, in the Nishkama Karma, you are in the mode of goodness level, right? Now this is where interesting things happen, and we need to pay a little bit attention. This is more at the Karma Yoga, the Karma level that we talked about. Now next we are going to Jnana Yoga, right? Now Arjuna had this question that Karma Yoga, these are all things there. Now you said that Jnana is higher, which is what it is higher. then why should I really do these karma level activities? I will not do at all. Now then Krishna said that no. You are the whatever process I mentioned to you. It is you need to do your karma and gnana with gnana. So now, so the point is that gnana yoga is you can say that you are at the gnana yoga stage when karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation. This stage is called gnana yoga. Is this clear? Anybody has any doubt? I'll repeat that. Gnana yoga, you are in gnana yoga stage when your karma yoga has increased. Okay, that means you are dovetailing with Krishna and you are doing your activity, and you are doing it with increased knowledge and renunciation. Renunciation means what? You are not getting attached to your fruits of your activities. This stage is called gnana yoga. Knowledge is also included there. When karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, this stage is called gnana yoga stage. Clear? Okay. Now, in between, there is one more before we go to bhakti yoga. That we will see it in the next level. There is something called Ashtanga yoga also comes after gnana yoga actually. So that again, that detour can take be taken at later point of time. Okay, now let's see this. Now this is gnana yoga. Next is bhakti yoga. So that we will discuss. That's the topmost. And now if you ask when you are in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness, when you are going beyond this, when you are touching bhakti yoga, that mode is called Shuddha Sattva. You are in the mode of Shuddha Sattva, which is not bound by any of these modes, and it is not. Prabhuji has asked one question. Soham Prabhu. These modes of nature which are controlled by the Maya Devi. Again, since you have taken the shelter of Krishna in Bhakti Yoga, now these modes of nature will no more have influence on you. You are said to be in the mode of Shuddha Sattva. Okay, so the modes of nature will not really put you in any trouble. At the same time, you will not get influenced by any of this. Okay, so that's what we can discuss. Okay, now one last thing I will discuss here. Please let me know, Raghunath Puri Prabhu, what happens is that 7:30 we need to stop, and probably 10 minutes we can have discussions, because 7:45 we will be kicked out because the other session will start. Okay, so 7:30 sharp we will stop.
Yes, Prabhu.
What's the time now?
7:20.
Okay, 10 more minutes we'll discuss and then we'll go in. Now, the basically what we are saying is that what is yajna? See, whatever you are doing now, how we can relate this to yajna? Krishna said that perform your yajna. So and do it for my satisfaction. That's the ultimate goal. Now, in these steps, whatever you see that doing karma kanda, sakama karma, nishkama karma, and this whatever you are doing yajna. Slowly you are doing it not for your satisfaction, but for the Supreme Lord's satisfaction. Your consciousness from I, it is going towards not for my satisfaction. Maybe initially it is there, slowly it got purified, and you know that if I can satisfy the Supreme Lord, I will automatically get satisfied. So it is not giving up your satisfaction, but realizing that practically also, if I can satisfy the Supreme Lord, I will automatically get satisfied because I am integral part of the Supreme Lord. So this is the important thing. If you know, you will find that spirituality is not something where you have to give up something, as Arjuna was thinking. When you realize that my satisfaction, see, I'll give you an example. Matajis can relate. See, if you have prepared some food, some nice item, Immediately after preparing that nice item, you sat down and you started eating. You get some satisfaction, definitely yes. But suppose you have done that and basically your kids are there, your family members are there. When they eat it, will you be more satisfied, or when you eat for yourself only, then you will be satisfied? Mataji can relate to this mostly. Yeah, anybody can speak. When you will be more satisfied?
You get more satisfaction when you offer to others.
Yeah. So when you see that, practically we see that when more than I eating and enjoying, if other person is eating and enjoying and getting the taste, I am more satisfied. So that is what in spirituality you will slowly get to know, that when you do it for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, you will automatically get that enjoyment. And that is what is the true enjoyment. That is the bliss that Krishna is talking about. So you can realize this. It is not theoretical. To some extent, I have realized it, but again, I cannot even qualify to say that. But point is that you can. So that is the higher stage that you can go. It will take some time, but again, definitely yes. Now, the bottom line is that this is whatever we are doing, is taking one step ahead in this yoga ladder is yajna. Why it is yajna? First of all, you are going from karma on gnana platform, right? That is one way it is a yajna. So with proper understanding and with that, see, the subtler is this mind. Gross karma you do it with this whatever body, mostly karma means with body you do activity. But if you can utilize the higher faculty that you have with that knowledge, and that also gets purified. See, in that process, what is happening is that when you are going to one stage to next stage, your senses are getting purified, and your mind is getting purified, your intellect is getting purified. So, and at a higher stage, at a higher level, your ego also gets purified. So this is the yajna. If you ask me what is yajna, purifying your whatever you have, your gross body, your subtle body and ego, purifying that is what is yajna is. And Krishna has given this material world and asked you to do this yajna because he wants you to get purified. Is that clear, Mataji's, Prabhuji's? Krishna Rao Prabhu, clear? Is any doubts anybody has?
Prabhuji, can you explain the Jnana Yoga part of the yoga ladder?
So, Prabhuji, Krishna, the way he takes it is that first 6 chapters, we are in the Karma Yoga. So, the emphasis is on Karma Yoga. The next 6 chapters from 7 to 12 is basically in the that is Bhakti Yoga. And the last part is in the Jnana Yoga part. Now, to the extent what we need to know at this point of time, Jnana Yoga means, or in this particular stage of Jnana Yoga, what we need to understand is when Karma Yoga, that means your action, whatever you are doing, increases in knowledge. You are doing with some understanding. Why am I doing it? For whose satisfaction I am doing it? With that understanding when you are doing it, and also you are doing with renunciation. Renunciation means that you are not doing it with some attachment towards your enjoyment, but you are doing it with renunciation. That stage is called Jnana Yoga. Okay, Prabhu? At least theoretically you understand now. Slowly Krishna is going to elaborate and make you realize that. Okay, Prabhu? So, yeah. So, Prabhu, anything else?
Sir, this is Jnana Yoga is in which mode? Bhakti Yoga, Suddha Sattva. Jnana Yoga is in which mode?
Jnana Yoga is basically an intermediate step which will help you to reach Suddha Sattva. Because without having that proper knowledge, at the same time, Gnana Yoga doesn't mean that you have given up your Karma Yoga. See, in Gnana Yoga, Karma Yoga is also there. This is the confusion Arjuna had. So it is not in silo. So whenever you are taking up some activity, these are the intermediate steps. But in the Gnana Yoga stage, see, that is the definition I told you. Gnana Yoga means when Karma Yoga increases. Please understand, when Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, this stage is called Gnana Yoga. That means in Gnana Yoga, you are doing karma. It is not like it is just only mind is getting used and you are not doing your activity. No, it is in Gnana. So that means if you understand this concept, subset and superset. Okay. Gnana Yoga is the superset. Karma Yoga is the subset. In Gnana Yoga, Karma Yoga is there. Understood? It might be a little complicated to understand, but if you remember this definition, it will be easy. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, this stage is called Gnana Yoga. Is that okay, Prabhu? Can we move?
Thank you.
Clear, Prabhu? Soham, Prabhu, still, I know you might have not been satisfied yet, but slowly we will get there. Is that okay, Prabhu? We'll move on? Okay, thank you.
Prabhuji, then if a person is in Nishkam Karma Yoga and one person is in Jnana Yoga, then what is the difference between both of them?
Okay, so basically, as I told you, your heart is getting purified and your consciousness is getting purified more at next level.
Okay.
So because you are, when you do it with what intention, the why is much stronger there, and you know that you are not doing it for yourself, but you are doing it for somebody. That he knows that Gnana means what? Actually, Gnana means in one way we have seen that Gnana is Sankhya Yoga is what Krishna told in the second chapter. Sankhya Yoga, where he said you are not his body or spirit soul, and you are part and parcel of Krishna, and all these is Gnana. So that realizing that and utilizing that knowledge what you have in your activity is actually what Gnana Yoga is. So see, whenever you are doing certain activity, you are doing it knowing fully for whom I am doing it and what is the end result I am going to get. All this is part of the Gnana. But when he said Gnana Yoga, so basically you are doing your activity and you are dovetailing things with this Supreme Lord. So, and for his satisfaction. Yes. So that is what it is. Right now we'll stop here with this discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Anybody has any question? Because it is 7:30, right, Prabhu? Raghunath Puri Prabhu? Because
yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji. Go ahead.
Actually, in the second year was learned about like Krishna was saying Karpanyam. That he was saying that Arjuna was saying that I have a religion knowledge, but then Krishna says that religion knowledge is not enough. You should also do the activity also should be done. In that Proverbs have said, as you said that Gnana Yoga is a superior mode. But in that verse, Krishna points out that, as he says that I have a religious knowledge. So how can I kill Drona and say Drona and Bhishma? Then Krishna also says that religious knowledge is not also necessary. Even Karma Yoga is also, Karma activity also you should do. Because of the...
What is your question, Mataji? Can you put it straight? What is the question now?
In that centum and the sloka, he gives importance to the Karma Yoga, activity based. In Karpanya Dosha, in that sloka.
No, in the Mataji,
but you are saying that Gnana Yoga is superior.
Okay, Mataji, we will, you can send a message, your question in the group, I will address that. But basically, Karpanya Dosha Pahata Swabhava, Prichyami Tvam Dharma Samudati. So here in that, Arjuna has accepted what is his current situation. So that is what is talked about. And he accepted Krishna as the Supreme Lord and asked him to instruct. So that is what he did. So whatever question you have, you can put it in the message, Mataji, nicely draft it and send it. We will take it up. Any other devotee has any questions?
Superiority, when it comes to superiority, Dhyana Yoga superiority was saying, but in that he says that karma, I mean, we have to, whatever we do, that is also main superiority than the religion knowledge, he says.
Mataji, you will quote the sloka and then message me, and we will discuss this in great detail, because I need to get the context also what you are saying. I'm not able to follow. So put it in the message, or you can voice record and send it in the group, and we will take it up. Right now, we will park this question. Yes, Malti Mataji, you can go ahead. Your next question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I heard that the Jnana Yogis cannot be Krishna centric. They may renounce the work completely, and they may not be a Krishna centric. So how can the Jnana Yogis are superior?
We never said that Jnana Yogis are superior. Bhakti Yogis are the topmost. Okay. Now that is the reason what I told you, that Jnana Yogis come to a certain stage. After that there is Ashtanga Yogis. Okay. So Ashtanga Yogis realization is that the Paramatma who is there in the heart, they can contemplate on that, and they can go till only that level. And the Bhakti Yogis can get the realization at a Bhagwan level. Okay. And so the Jnana Yogis can see that whatever you see here, they can see that this is all because of the Supreme Lord. Because they know that, but again they have not realized knowledge of Bhagwan realization can happen only at the Bhakti Yoga stage. So that is what the difference between Jnana Yoga stage, Ashtanga Yoga stage, and Bhakti Yoga stage. See, what I mean to say is that the Brahman realization, Brahman means what? Brahman means that the spark is there. I am also that Brahman, and the plants are also Brahman. That means all this creation is coming from the higher source. So that they can realize that Brahman realization they can have at a Jnana Yoga stage. The next level realization is Ashtanga Yoga, Paramatma realization. That means Paramatma is dwelling in my heart. That realization they will get. But actually, Bhakti Yoga level, they will realize the Brahman, the Bhagwan realization they can have. It is Srila Prabhupada gives an analogy of the sun rays, the sun planet, and sun god. So realizing is the steps to take to the ultimate. See, Jnana Yogis are, you cannot say they are low. We can say that they have realized only till this point, but they can go to the next level, and they can go to the final level, which is Bhagwan realization. Make sense, Mataji, or you have any doubt?
Prabhuji, I feel that Nishkama Karma Yogis can also be at Bhagwan realization of Prabhuji.
Bhagwan realization, they are doing it. But again, that is not, they need to increase their knowledge and renunciation also. That has to be there. So Nishkama Karma, see, if you ask me, Nishkama Karma Yoga, what are they doing? They are doing it with the intention that this has to be done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. That means they are operating at the Jnana Yoga stage. So you cannot put some lines for these things sometimes. But again, see, the bottom line is this. As we go from one stage to one stage, our heart is getting purified. Our consciousness is now getting also elevated, and the realization and the clarity that you have about the Supreme Lord is coming much more. You're getting the realization. So that's the difference. Now, as I told you, gave you the example of the sun rays. We say that Surya ma intlo kochadu. The sun has come into my home, but actually, did sun come? Sun is there only. Only rays has come, but you feel that the sun has come into your home. So that is also correct. You cannot say that sun has not come in your home. Sun rays, but again, the realization that you should really have is that there is a sun planet and there is a person in charge for that sun planet, and his name is Vivaswan, etc., etc. So he has these capabilities, he has his characters. That is the realization, that is Bhagwan realization. So we have to go there. We have not yet gone. Nishkama Karma Yogis have not yet gone there. So they are doing it. Nishkama Karma, they are doing it. But actually, if this Nishkama Karma Yogis, if they do with that knowledge, that means they have come to the higher platform. Okay, Mataji? So, yes. So, actually, coming to one question in this regard, whether we have to follow this sequential step or we can directly take to Bhakti Yoga. That question one should ask. Hardly nobody has asked that, right? So probably we'll take that as an assignment for us. Ask yourself whether we can go through this systematic step by step is the preferred way, or you can go directly to Bhakti Yoga. And if so, how can I go to the direct process of going to Bhakti Yoga without any of these steps? That's the $1 million question that one has to address. So think about it. We'll discuss it in the next class. Hope I have. Pratibhan Prabhu, go ahead.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Sorry for the interruption. Actually, I had the same question, relevant, whatever you asked. Actually, I had a doubt. Like, do we need to follow all these stages, or else we can take any one path and we can attain the Supreme? That is the question I'm having. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana, any one path I can choose, I can reach the Supreme Soul. That is the question I am having in my mind.
Oh, okay. See, these are the paths that are there. But as part of the whatever I just told you, you can directly take up to the Bhakti Yoga process. And what is that process? That we can discuss it in the next class, which is called Krishna consciousness process, wherein you don't really have to do any of these things. But why are we knowing it? Why we should know? That also we'll discuss. And I would like you all to contemplate on it. This is not going to be a silo kind of business. I will going forward, I will put up some questions and ask you to answer, because now I am making the 95%, I am speaking and you are only contributing 5%. We should at least make it to 50-50. So for that you have to do your homework. At least ask relevant questions and contribute. Prabhuji, what you are saying, I don't agree. And maybe as per the purport in the Bhagavad Gita, but this is what is told, but you are telling something else. How can I really correlate? So this kind of a thing should come. And see, the point is that what is that you are going to gain out of all this exercise? What is you are going to gain is that you are going to purify your heart. Your consciousness will get evolved. It's not easy, but if you take up to this process of analyzing Bhagavad Gita, your consciousness will get evolved. Okay, and this is one a part of the 3-step process. One is your sadhana you have to do. You have to take up to the chanting process, whatever level you are there, 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, you do that every day. And Bhagavad Gita also read every day, 1 sloka, 2 slokas, purports, read, analyze, and you do your seva. At least do these first 2, seva opportunity comes, you cannot, talking, sending out messages, following the instructions what is given. This is all seva only. Okay, so You are not speaking just for your sense gratification. You are doing it to clarify your thoughts and purify yourself, and at the same time, this will also benefit others. That is seva, right? So in this process, we are doing. Okay, Pratibha Prabhu, excellent question, but we'll park it for the next day.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Your contribution is very much one of the things I really liked. Thank you so much. And similarly, all other Matajis, Bindu Mataji, Lakshmi Mataji, today Nagalakshmi Mataji not spoken much. So Malti Mataji, thank you. All of you, please contribute. Contribute in the sense, participate. So discuss. That is where you will be able to sharpen the saw. Stephen Covey says in 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People, he talks about sharpening the saw. See, our intellect is there. We have all the capability, but we are also acting like Krupanas. We are not utilizing them. What good is your intelligence if you are not utilizing them? So please utilize. The time is there. You are not utilizing. How much time you are spending for Bhagavad Gita? Tell me. Hardly out of 24 hours, not even quality 30 minutes you are giving. I know. So at least put some quality 30 minutes now. Then you will see the benefits. Then you will enjoy that whatever happiness you are talking about will come. Because now you will be able to operate at a different consciousness level. I know. Sometimes I confuse people. But again, so we
Hare
went
Krishna,
now.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I am new for these classes, Prabhuji. Before I am reading Lalita Sahasra, Hanuman Jalisa, Vishnu Sahasra, that's all. Because of my elder son, I started to chanting this Maha Mantra. He got in Bhagavad Gita VEC, he got first prize. Yeah, daily he used to chant this Maha Mantra. Mama, you have to chant this mantra only. No need to read all of these. He told so many times. From born to bred up, I used to chant those, what to say, Vishnu Sahasra, Lalita Sahasra, those are there. So,
Mataji, these are all also authentic only. Vishnu Sahasra Nama, who is Vishnu? Krishna's name are there, Sahasra. All are Krishna's name only. So, nothing wrong. But again,
because of my elder son, I changed it, sir.
Mataji, believe me or not, before I took up decision not to take any of this other food other than sattvic food, my son has inspired me. He has left onion garlic before I left. So sometimes age is not the factor. They are coming from their previous vasanas, and they are more purer than us, because we got contaminated and conditioned because of being in this material world. They are much more younger, so we need to get inspired from them. That's how.
Because of him only, I started to listen these classes, sir.
Yes, Mataji.
I knew actually.
Age is not a barrier, Prabhuji, to learn anything. Even a small child can teach you.
Yes.
Because I, as a teacher, believe that I have learned so much from my children.
Yes, thank you, Matajis and Prabhujis. Very nice. So one last thing I wanted to just maybe in more from another angle. If this call gets disconnected, we are done. But again, one thing I wanted to bring in. See, I was basically what was that? Let me just recollect one thing I want to. So I was thinking there is one thing that was told, like when a small kid comes and says to his mother, "I love you, mom." He says. Then the mother says that, "Are you hungry?" So she feeds him. And when he comes to a teenage, he says that, "I love you." He says that to his mother. And he says, "Do you need some money?" Because I did that whenever I used to go to my mom and hug. She needs to know that when he is a teenager, he needs some money. And if you are a young boy, When you say, I love you, mom, or you're expressing your love towards her, you have a desire that you know somebody whom you like, that girl, and you want to get married, and you are expressing that, and she says that, okay, we'll get married to you, okay, no problem. And now when you are an adult boy, and now you are in an adult stage, now you are going to your mom and expressing the same desire, but now your intentions are different. Now you wanted her to sign the property papers, so it will come in your name. So in this process, because of the material contamination, what we have become is that we have become more materialistic by nature. So we have a role to play and a duty to fulfill with our parents.